Welcome to the Breanna Show. This podcast is all about Breanna. She's our specialist listing agent. She's going to share some tips. Do you think that staging always has an impact on the eventual sale price of a home?
Unless the property is vacant and small, then yes.
What are the different options when it comes to staging? Like, what's your standard process?
My standard process is to have a staging consultant come through the house, and usually they end up using my clients' staging items that they already have, maybe just move some things around, remove certain personal items, that kind of thing. But some people do rent items. If it's a fully vacant house and it's an expensive price range, then I do recommend a full stage. But oftentimes we have small condos that sometimes might actually look more congested and too small with a whole house full of furniture. So those ones I actually recommend that we leave vacant and we can do virtual staging.
Okay. Talk to me about virtual staging.
Virtual staging is a really nice option, number one, because the client doesn't pay for it, I do. So some people really like that.
No doubt.
But also what it does is basically we have our social media person stage things just electronically. So she'll put in full staging items, everything from curtains to pictures on the walls to furniture. And it looks so real that I've actually had people reach out and ask where we've gotten the coffee table from.
Serious?
So we know that it's very
that.
realistic. Yeah.
Do you do other graphic design edits and whatnot?
Yes, we do. It depends on the property. But for example, we had a listing where the sellers were a little bit elderly and weren't able to get all the boxes out of one of the basement rooms. So what we did is we said leave them there and we'll just basically Photoshop them out. So of course when people came for showings, they saw boxes, but the photo online, it was showing an empty room, which was obviously much more attractive, makes the room look bigger.
And do you set expectations before showings for realtors if they're expecting it to be staged and it's not, or do you put it in the showing notes?
The only times when I make a note about that is if my clients have emptied their house of furniture. So sometimes they'll leave their house furnished, and then as soon as we've had photos taken, maybe they'll start actually removing items from moving out. And in that case, I will let the realtors know that, hey, heads up, the house is now empty, doesn't have furniture in it anymore. But usually, if it's just virtually staged, you can tell from the photos as a realtor.
As you've matured as realtors, your career has continued. Would you say that you value your home preparation and staging more over time or less over time?
I would say more. I definitely notice, especially in certain market types, that it can really make a difference for a house, especially the type of market we're in right now, where it's a balanced market. When it's a seller's market, everything sells easily. It still does help to get you more money, but definitely in a balanced market and a buyer's market, it helps way more.
What about a market that, I know we're not expecting it and we haven't seen it in a long time, and we've actually never seen it in Calgary ourselves. What about markets falling really fast?
In that case, I think it all depends on how quickly everything can happen. So at the end of the day, when people are losing money every month on their house, they're not usually interested in paying for staging, right? Because the idea is let's just get the house sold before we lose more money. And then that's also part of it, is that we want things to get listed as quickly as we can before we lose more money, which staging can take some time. So it just depends. If we're able to get our stager in there right away and it's just a matter of moving around a few of the owner's items, then that's great. Otherwise, it's just a matter of getting the house listed as soon as we can.
What about people? Are there certain types of people or personality types where you're like, let's just not even go there? Because people know themselves, especially as they age. Once I got to about 35, I was like, oh, that's how I do things. So on the buyer side, I ask people, hey, how do you make decisions? So there are some people you might say, let's just not really get too into this.
I find actually the staging helps people like that because it gives them direction. And especially with a timeline, like most times what we'll do is we'll actually book the stager and then book photos for the next day. They'll have a timeline to work with.
Okay.
So I actually find it sometimes helps those people because it gives them a bit of a deadline to work with.
Tell me a brief story about someone who got their house for sale in like record time and you were like mind blown.
But it's happened a few times over the years. I've seen people with a lot of stuff in their house and literally get it ready in 3 days. And I'm just like, I don't know where you put everything or how much you slept in those 3 days. But sometimes people really pull off big jobs in a very small amount of time when they're really motivated to get listed. And again, that all has to do with we've booked photos for Monday, so they have to have it ready for Sunday night, whatever.
Pressure. That's our generation too, right?
That's
like
true.
Millennials, it's like, give me a deadline. Let's go. I'll make it perfect.
Yeah. So I've had a few of those now where it really impressed me how quickly they pulled it all together.
What about outsourcing? Are there people that you can suggest they bring in to help with all this? Who's like your top 5 people or top 3 people that you send in to help people get things done?
Yeah, obviously the stager, like I mentioned, Brandy. We bring her in for the consultation, then she can do the actual staging if people wanted to have her move their items around or bring in some other things. But we also have like contractors that can help with little fixes around the house. We have a handyman, or sorry, not a handyman, more a laborer who can help with moving things. You can get things over to a storage unit if they need help with that kind of thing, or even with mobility issues. We've had a couple of clients that moving things from the basement to the upstairs and vice versa isn't really a good option at this time in their life. And so then the laborer sometimes will come and help do that sort of thing.
And then there's seniors, downsizing, and Larry to talk about.
Yeah, and so then we've also got Larry's kind of like our contractor who has contractors under him. So he's a great sort of one-stop shop to get a lot of different things done. And then we've also got an organizer. Her name is Bonnie, and she can come help people pack. She can help people get things organized. Like I've even seen her, because of course buyers will open up your drawers, not like in your closets, or your dressers, I should say, but they'll open up closets and cupboards in your kitchen and things, and she'll actually come and organize that stuff as well.
Yeah, you got a cold right now, so
yeah,
you're pretty much my hero for doing this with a cold. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to end with? Oh yeah, most importantly, results. When is it? So I'll share. It has, over the years, it's been 12 years, and the one thing that I have continually learned, 13 years, is...
We're coming up to 14 in a couple months.
Have we known each other for 13? We've known each other for longer than that. No. 13 years. Oh, I started in real estate the same year.
The same that we met, yeah.
Yeah, what a great year.
It was a good year.
One of the things I've noticed more and more, or I've continually learned, or maybe relearned, is how impactful what we're talking about is on the saleability of a house. And it's not even so much the price it sells for. I think there's always an impact, but it's like we price houses all the time, right? And we try and assess them for quality and location, all these different things. And we estimate the value and we do it on paper. And I'm a numbers guy and I'm in the background working with you on that. And then you're presenting to the seller client. But there's this huge kind of soft variable. And we talk about it all the time as we're pricing houses. How well is this going to present, right? Like how well prepared is the house going to be? Are they going to have a pre-inspection? And that's a whole other podcast, but they're going to have a pre-inspection beforehand, get things fixed up. And it's going to, when the buyer goes through, they're just going to feel great in that space.
Right.
And this really is a big part of that.
Definitely. Yeah. No, at the end of the day, of course, we want the photos to look beautiful. And that's a big part of it because that brings people in the door. But then once they get in, we also want them to realize that the house has been well maintained. We've gotten it ready properly for photo or for listing. And we want the buyers to get excited once they're inside.
Not worried.
And yeah, not be worried about things. So of course, all these little things, maybe little, can sometimes add up financially depending on how much you're doing. But they can make a huge difference to the buyer.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll choose our house over someone else's because the seller chose to repaint, which that can be expensive for a buyer to do when they first move in, let alone time consuming. So of course to find a house that's already done makes a big difference.
And I think I learned this in Fort McMurray because one of our, at the time, competitors, and now someone that I just have a lot of affection and respect for, Lisa Hardigan. I just noticed pretty much every single one of her listings was you'd walk in, the lights would be on when you went to view it. And you had a listing like this that was like it was crazy like this in Kensington recently. If the lights are on, there's soft music playing, everything's perfectly staged.
Yeah. She
would probably every second house, it was like get the flooring and paint done before it was listed. And you just kind of could tell, you just constantly go through her listings. And I get that in your listings now. And I just think that's one of the big pro moves, something that you just learn over time. So take the time up front to get the house.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course it all depends on people's budget and timeline. At the end of the day, I give advice, but my clients are the ones that decide what they want to do.
And I guess it's not all about, so there's a few things that people are looking for. They're looking for selling the house. What else do they care about?
They, a lot of times they care about how much they sell it for, so top dollar. And a lot of times they care about little stress. And especially, again, I have had some elderly clients that they just want to be able to get the house on the market. They've already taken good care of their house over the years. Maybe they're expecting somebody to come in and do a renovation anyway, so they don't feel like painting is going to really do much. And in some cases, I agree. So it really depends on the situation. That's where I'd rather give one-on-one personalized advice to each client.
It all sounds like you would do a really good job at selling a house.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining me today on this episode of The Breanna Show. I know you're recovering from a few things, we'll say, pneumonia being one of them, but
Sorry.
I know that you're recovering from a few things, should we say, the latest being flu. So thank you. Would it be inappropriate to tell you how much I love and respect you?
Because you're my husband, it's a bit different.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.